The Council of Licensed Firearms Owners, COLFO, has expressed outrage following allegations that a police officer hacked the firearm register to conceal his own illegal firearm purchases. According to reports, the officer falsely registered firearms under the names of innocent licensed firearm owners, presumably to avoid detection by firearm vendors and the Firearms Safety Authority. He said he was doing it so his wife wouldn't find out. Additionally, the officer is accused of using police computer systems for personal reasons unrelated to his duties. Now, the Independent Police Conduct Authority, the IPCA, has found sufficient evidence for potential charges, and they believe that the public interest warrants a prosecution. The police feel differently. COLFO spokesperson is Hugh Devereux-Mack. It's always good to have him on the show. Hugh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah. Great to be here.
Hugh, what a crazy story, eh? Police officer uses a firearm register to conceal his own illegal firearm purchases. What should happen here?
Look, this is a fun one for us because we've been hearing from police and their representatives, Chris Cahill, that straw buyers are the number one problem for licensed firearms owners in the community. And yet here we have an example of the police themselves being guilty of straw buying, and yet no charges are being laid. And they say that other things are going to undermine our confidence in them. How is this clear double standard a way to build our confidence in FSA? I don't see it.
Hugh, just for our listeners and some people that don't know what straw buying is, can you explain that?
Yeah, so straw buying is the process where an individual uses either someone else's names or details purchasing firearms for themselves and then passes it on to someone who's unlicensed. So it's the diversion of firearms that are legally purchased into an illegal fleet. In this case, the guy has sort of reverse worked it, where he's used innocent party names to divert the firearms to himself. So he's the beneficiary of this.
So you've got this cop, right? This police officer, he's gone into the register. He's used the computer systems for his own gain. He's pulled out names of licensed firearm owners that are in there, right? And then what? So
yes.
Say he used your name, Hugh. It'd be silly to do it.
Yep.
You're not on the list, but I don't know if you are. But say you're there, you've suddenly got a gun that you don't know. Is that how it works?
Yep, that is how it works. Now, we question police on this, and they sent us back kind of a pressuring correction to say that we were wrong. And Herald has subsequently pulled their article. The three things they said was the IPCA didn't say they hacked the register. Now, the definition of hacking is that an individual accesses a database illegally that they don't have the authorization to. So completely, undeniably, he did hack the register. It said that the other thing was he interrogated the system for non-work-related purposes, and that was something that we got wrong. It's like, well, that's stated there, but also they completely skipped over the point that the report said he registered guns against third-party names for it to acquire them. They then said the offence in question predated the registry and involved another police database. That third point is the most concerning because it either means that, well, the difference between hacking one supposedly secure register and another supposedly secure register, same difference. It was supposed to be a secure system. The police officer breached the trust and confidence put in him as an officer and broke the law. Cool. But more importantly, if it isn't talking about the current register, the only firearms that were registered prior to this one were restricted firearms, pistols, and collector's items, which are much harder to get a hold of and arguably more dangerous. So we put in an OIA saying, hey, if you want us to change our statement, that's fine. Give us all the information around what guns was he buying and what was he registering them against. Because if it isn't the current register, which may have just been a bolt-action hunting rifle, under the old register, it's much more serious, and they haven't answered that question.
Oh, that is interesting, Hugh. That is interesting. What kind of guns did he buy?
We don't know. And we will hopefully find out, and as soon as we do, we'll let everyone know.
So the likes of Angela Brazier, who don't know who she is, she's the Firearms Safety Authority. She's repeatedly defended, Hugh, as you know, the register as secure, but this proves it is vulnerable to exploitation from within.
Absolutely. And if you do a quick Google search on police accessing registers or accessing databases without authorization, a number of incidents come up, from accessing sort of drug crime ones to driving records, ex-girlfriends' houses. Run, I'm looking at right now, a corrupt cop guilty of illegally accessing police database. And you're like, right, so we know that they do this.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon. Why do we think that suddenly this firearms license one is going to be immune from this pattern of behavior within police? And why are the authority quiet on this and not trying to gain our confidence to say we've put into place things to actually stop it or punish those when they break the law?
Well, I'm glad you said that, Hugh, because you believe this has further strained relations between firearms owners and the police, correct?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Look, I spoke with the Police Minister, Mark Mitchell, yesterday, Hugh, got him on the phone, and I asked him about this issue, and this is what he had to say.
I'm not going to sort of get involved in that, other than the fact that I think there was 2 thorough investigations done around it. The police are always expected to maintain the highest standards, and obviously there was the outcome on both of those has been reported, but that is very operational. I think that, yes, I do understand the police looked at it, see whether or not there had been any criminal offending or offences broken, and that it was apparent that there hadn't been. Other than that, look, I'm not going to comment on it because it is very operational.
What do you make of that, Hugh?
Look, well, at least he admits that there are investigations. The IPCA found there was enough grounds for criminal offending, despite the fact that police said there wasn't. And when it comes down to it, I think what this suggests is he's completely, him and Luxon, the Prime Minister, have listened to police who have said the register is safe and this is what will keep crime and guns out of the hands of criminals in future. They've discounted Minister Nicole McKee's call to review the register and whether it's being effective, and they said, we're not going to do that, that's off the cards. I think that this is a clear call to action, that they need to take the voices of licensed firearms owners who do actually experience the system and work with police most of the time. We're experts in this and we're saying there's a problem. They need to take this review seriously and not just take police's word on it as gospel.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we quickly just talk about accusations from Labour's Ginny Anderson, Hugh, that children have been using apparently military-style semi-automatic firearms at gun clubs. However, it is unclear whether the incidents took place before or after 2019 when MSSAs were banned. Do you know any more about this?
Look, this is a fascinating one because MSSAs are the only firearms that, prior to the changes, when they were all brought back, you weren't allowed to use one unless you were an ECAT endorsement holder. So you had to have a specific license to use it. For all other firearms, you just have to be under the supervision of someone with a firearms license. So kids on ranges learning to use firearms safely is actually something we need to encourage because it leads to better safety outcomes for communities and future hunters, which is great for the environment. Now, regarding the MSSA query, if police had evidence that this had been occurring, that's a clear breach of the laws and the endorsement holders should have been charged. Given that police have recently taken firearms licenses off people for the thought crime of social media comments, they would have been all over this.
Yes.
So the fact that they haven't laid any charges to me suggests that these concerns they expressed in the emails, interdepartmental emails, is that, okay, they're concerns, but there was clearly no evidence, otherwise they would have pressed charges.